around him, and it's not that he was throwing fits and kicking over C-stands and throwing boxes, and so I'm living that dream, and it's wonderful. Every day I share another story from the golden age and the moments that shaped an unforgettable era. If you'd like to keep these memories alive with me, hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot. Thank you for being here. Now let's begin. Ron Howard has always been the calm eye in a wild storm, a filmmaker known for dignity, restraint, and treating people right. But the moment he was asked about the darker secrets of the industry that raised him, everything in his face shifted. He once said quietly that people wouldn't believe what some legends became once the cameras turned off, and that the so-called golden age of Hollywood wasn't golden at all. According to him, it was a world built on silence, pressure, and people getting pushed around. A place where fame acted like a shield, letting certain stars behave however they wanted. The same people who shaped America's fantasies were also responsible for breaking spirits behind closed doors. And now, all these years later, Ron Howard is finally willing to repeat the names tied to that chaos. Errol Flynn, the devil behind the smile. Long before smooth-talking spies or rum-rinking pirates hit the screen, there was Errol Flynn, the charming daredevil who made danger look cool. On screen, he was the perfect adventurer, fearless and sharp. Off-screen, Howard explains, he was a whole different story, someone reckless, impulsive, and driven by ego. Born in Tasmania in 1909, Flynn hit Hollywood in the 1930s and shot to fame overnight after Captain Blood in 1935. Studios built a fortune around his charm, but underneath that shine was a man battling personal chaos and serious addiction. By the early 1940s, everything around him was turning toxic. In 1942, he faced charges connected to two young women, Peggy Sadlerly and Betty Hansen. Newspapers everywhere ran the story, splitting the entire country. Flynn laughed through the testimony, brushing it off as if being a star made him immune to consequences. Warner Brothers brought in Heil attorneys. Fans camped outside the courthouse, and insiders whispered that some witnesses suddenly disappeared after being pressured by powerful people. Flynn was acquitted, but the shadows around him only grew darker. Decades later, private letters from 1978 showed him bragging about his behavior and mocking people who said they were afraid of him. Ron Howard said reading about that trial was a major turning point for him. The moment he realized Hollywood could protect people who acted wrong simply because they flashed a smile for the camera. To the public, Flynn stayed a rebellious icon. To insiders, he was a walking warning sign. Years of alcohol, drugs, and financial messes destroyed him. And in 1959, at just 50, he collapsed in Vancouver after pushing his body far past its limits. His autopsy listed heart failure, cirrhosis, and ulcers. But Howard says the real cause was simple. Flynn lived in extremes, taking from everyone and giving nothing back. His story became a symbol of Hollywood's moral breakdown, a reminder that charm can hide cold behavior and fame can't save anyone forever. Kirk Douglas, the man who couldn't stop fighting. To Ron Howard, Kirk Douglas was the definition of contradiction. On screen, he spoke of justice, courage, and loyalty. But off-screen, people remembered him very differently. Sharp, intimidating, and constantly ready for a fight. Born Isa Danilowitz in 1916 to a struggling immigrant family, Douglas clawed his way out of poverty through pure determination. By the time Spartacus turned him into a worldwide legend, he had everything: power, money, and respect. But people who worked with him said he had a temper that could shake a room. Crew members described him as impossible to satisfy, snapping without warning, leaving people nervous and stressed. Actress Deborah Paday once said he didn't just want to lead a scene, he wanted to control everyone standing in it. Ron Howard, who studied Douglas's performances while learning the craft, later said there was a rage under that smile. the kind that slowly eats a person from the inside out. That intense attitude followed Douglas throughout his career. Over the years, many old Hollywood insiders repeated troubling stories about his behavior toward women. Some authors and people connected to the industry have discussed claims tied to the 1950s, involving Natalie Wood, referencing her sister Lana's comments in a 2018 memoir. These stories have been debated for years, and because key people are no longer alive to speak for themselves, Howard emphasizes that these kinds of allegations reflect the complicated, messy, and often secretive culture of the era rather than proven facts. Douglas never faced charges, and the whole situation disappeared under the same wall of silence that,